Right, you lot, we need to have a little bit of a chat about this camera, mate. Come closer. Come closer. No, not that close. Back there. Right. This new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, mate. The 6K Pro. It's a bit bloody naughty, mate. Going on, Hugh lot? I hope you're all sweet. So, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. We need to have a chat about this camera. Today's video is sponsored by the good people over at Storyblocks. I'll be talking about them later. So, it seems that Blackmagic took a camera that we already absolutely loved and made us love it even more, mate. I made a video pretty much talking about all of the things that I'd love to see improved on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, and Blackmagic only went out and bloody done all of them, and then more by giving us the NDs. I had no idea it was even possible to fit NDs in a camera this big. Blackmagic, you are quite a nice company, really. You do just go, yeah, if this is what they want, we'll back it, mate. And you back it. I have to say, you lot do back it. It's definitely good now that all of these camera companies are finally listening to their consumers. Like Blackmagic do it, Sony listen to us. It's decent, mate. I'm rating it. Anyway, let's talk about this absolute corker of a camera. I've just taken it out to Bali for a good 2 months to shoot a cheeky little project and just to shoot, you know, a couple of little vloggy bits and that. And my God, I am so impressed that I'm so impressed that what? I'm so impressed that I'm going to tell you how much I love it. Now, obviously, there's a couple of things that I really don't like. The battery life, obviously we got better batteries. The other batteries are like just completely useless. These ones I'd say are about an extra 15 to 20% better than the other ones. So they really ain't as good as you think. And obviously it's a little bit worse for me because I'm a bit of a cheap bastard and I don't go out and buy the official batteries. I go out and buy the very cheap ones. So I have to say it's probably my own doing that things are bad. However, the original Blackmagic batteries still ain't really that great, mate. So I have to say the battery life is improved, but still not great. Anyway, let's talk about the pros because this camera's got so many pros, I could honestly speak all day. If you haven't seen my original 6K review, go and check that out because essentially this camera is exactly the same as the 6K. There's nothing internally, software-wise, resolution-wise, frame rate-wise, image quality, or just anything to do with the image, is pretty much exactly the same. We're getting the exact same image from either the 6K or the 6K Pro. The only thing pro about this bad boy is the fact that we've got internal NDs, which hit the spot, mate. If you're out somewhere and it's super damn bright, you want to keep that 180-degree rule, and you also want to have a nice shallow depth of field at 1.8. This lens is the nuts. I'll talk about it in a minute. Them NDs are so clutch, mate, that I don't know if I could ever go back. I absolutely love internal NDs. I've got internal NDs on my FX6. I've got internal NDs now on my Blackmagic. Once you go internal, you don't go back. How do I make this rhyme? Track, rack, pack. Once the internal NDs are in the Magic that's black, you won't go back. So for me, the issue with NDs that you chuck on the front of the lens is the fact that, one, you've got to keep them really clean. They're fiddly, mate. When you actually want to stick an ND on, you're like, oh, I've got to stick the ND on, and you might be somewhere that's wet. It might be raining. You can't have a lens hood on then at that point. So it's just a bit of a nightmare, really, to have NDs in front of the camera. Obviously, if you're on a big production, you'll end up having a matte box and you'll have the drop-in filters. But for a nice small camera that isn't actually that small, it's absolutely brilliant to have internal NDs because a lot of the times for me, I'm running and gunning. I'm out traveling. Like, for example, on the shoots that I've done in Bali, we're out and about. I don't have time to be lugging tons of gear. It's literally just me and Mike trekking down in our pants pretty much to some of these waterfalls, to some of these mad places. I don't want to be carrying around matte boxes and that. So to have internal NDs where I don't have to worry about the ND getting wet, getting scratched, I don't have to have it in my bag and pull it out and stick it on front of the lens, then I'm laughing because it's literally just one touch of a button, bang, we've got 3 stops, another touch, bang. I don't know if it's actually 3 stops. I think it's 1, 3, and 6. Let me work this out. Right, it's 2, 4, and 6. So you got 2 stops, 4 stops, and 6 stops. Now, you ain't really going to need more than 6 stops. Sometimes, I must say, I bang this ND16 on the front of the lens, especially if I'm shooting like bang in the middle of the day when it's ultra bloody bright and I really want to shoot at 1.8. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't really want to shoot at 1.8 that much while I was away because shooting at 1.8 is nice, but I do actually want to see where I am, especially if I've got a subject in the frame. I don't just want to blow everything out because you could literally be anywhere. So it is sometimes quite nice to stop down and obviously see your bloody area because you've obviously got a deeper depth of field for those of you that didn't know that. So being able to have NDs in camera that you can literally pop on, go to clear if you need to, 2, 4, 6 stops, was incredible. I didn't think Blackmagic were going to put them in. For me, that was like a massive shock. I honestly didn't think they were going to put internal NDs in this camera. And when they did, I was pretty bloody happy. So, Blackmagic, thanks. Now, onto the best part of this camera, the flip screen. Now, I know a flip screen can seem a bit boring because we've had a flip screen on pretty much every single camera that's come out in like the last 5 bloody years. But Blackmagic on the original 6K, the original 4K, absolute shocker, nightmare. You can hardly bloody use the thing if you're in like a dodgy situation. Then you had to rig it up, stick a monitor on it to actually make it usable in a lot of situations. And I don't really want to be rigging up a camera that should be a pocket camera. It ain't a pocket camera if you've got to rig it up the size of, I don't know, like an Alexa or something. We don't want that. We want to keep it nice and short, sweet, to the point, because, you know, we're little people, need little cameras. Don't need to be lugging big uns about. It is absolutely brilliant that we've now got the most incredible, in my opinion, the most incredible screen I've seen on a camera. It's massive for one, and we've got so much room for tilting. You want to shoot nice and low, you've got a perfect angle. You want to shoot nice and high, you're covered, mate. I did actually mention in my 6K review that I'm not a massive fan of like flip out screens. I prefer them to tilt exactly like this, especially on cameras that I'm not going to be shooting myself with. I'm not going to be, you know, vlogging or anything with this bad boy because no autofocus, not sure how I'm going to do that. It's absolutely wham, it's huge. So for something like the A7S Mark III, for example, or some of the Canon cameras, that's when your flip out screen is perfect. Because a lot of the times you might be shooting yourself, you're in like really funky situations, really funky angles. But for this particular camera that I'm always going to be operating myself, I'm never going to be shooting myself, absolutely perfect. And you know what, mate? 1,500 nits. Now that's pretty damn bright. If you're outside and you need to actually see your screen, you need to expose properly, you need to make sure that you're in focus, and sometimes it is just quite nice to actually see what you're shooting. This thing is so damn bright that you can shoot in pretty much any kind of lighting scenario. It can be super bright outside and you can still see your screen. Now, that does cause a bit of an issue because this battery life is, as I say, like pretty damn average. It's definitely not the best, and when you crank up the brightness on that screen, that is going to cause your battery a couple of issues, you know. Also, you do know that this screen's got like a bit of a blue tint on it. My one's got a blue tint on it, and I must say, because I shoot B-raw, it really doesn't give me that many issues. Obviously, Blackmagic have come out with a software update where you can simply just like change the you can just change the tint and the temperature on the screen. It's basically what I meant to say. So you can essentially like self-calibrate your screen. But as I say, I don't really shoot that much ProRes. So I'm pretty much shooting B-raw the whole time. And I can, in the edit, change my white balance to whatever I want. So the screen issue isn't really an issue for me. But before I go any further and talk about this absolute beast of a bloody image capturing device, I'm going to give a massive shout out to my guys over at Storyblocks that have sponsored today's video. So if you don't already know Storyblocks, Storyblocks is a huge library of royalty-free stock footage, stock video, and stock assets. They have over 1 million different assets that you can use completely royalty-free, whether you're a solo shooter, you're a massive media marketing team. They've got subscriptions that cover every kind of use. They have a ton of diverse and inclusive content on their site for any kind of needs. And believe it or not, I'll let you in on a little bit of a secret. This particular shot right here, yeah, you see that bird over on the right hand side? it ain't actually real. Like, don't tell no one. Let's keep it a secret between us. But I actually got that bird from Storyblocks. I got a cheeky little bird shot with a green screen, obviously keyed out the green screen, chucked it on the frame, give it a little bit of a colour grade to make it fit in with my scene, and boom. I've now got a bird in my shot, which makes my shot pretty damn magical. In my opinion, you might not like it, but I like the bird. So if you want to go and check out Storyblocks' affordable subscriptions, go and check out the link in my description, mate, because that's going to take you over there, and they have got a load of different subscriptions for solo shooters, big media houses, the full works. Go and check it out. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Anyway, back to this wham, lovely, big camera. When it comes to the Blackmagic image, I honestly don't think there's a better image for under, like this camera cost $2,500. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. I think it's daylight robbery that people are getting. I mean, when I say daylight robbery, I mean people are robbing Blackmagic of these amazing cameras for so damn cheap. They're almost giving them away. They're not obviously giving them away because that's still a big chunk of money. But in terms of cameras, it's so damn cheap. Right, we do need to have a little bit of a chat about the Gen 5 colour science that we've now got in this camera. We've got it in all of the pocket cinema cameras now, which is absolutely great. We have a much flatter image with the Gen 5 colour science. I do have to say, I do find it a little bit harder to grade. When it comes to Gen 4, I find Gen 4 so easy to grade. It does have a little bit of a harsher gamma curve than Gen 5. However, Gen 5 is going to be a lot easier to grade up with other cameras because it's so much flatter. It's such more of a neutral image compared to Gen 4. Now, the good thing is, because I shoot in RAW, I can just change from Gen 5 to Gen 4 really easily in the edit. So for me, if I do have a shot that I'm really struggling with or that I find really hard to grade for whatever reason, I am trying to get better at my grading. You lot know that. I've been trying to do it for bloody years. Still an amateur, but you know, slowly getting there. A couple of times on my previous shoot, I did notice that I was really struggling to get the look that I wanted with the Gen 5. So I literally just popped it over to Gen 4. It was a much more contrasty image, almost pretty much ready to go out of the box. Little bit of tweaking of the colors here and there, and I managed to get a really nice image. Gen 5 is great. It gives us loads more options. I did, however, find that Gen 5 is a lot more noisy in the shadows, but that's to be expected. We've got a much flatter image. It comes up with pretty much every camera that shoots more flat. When you're lifting them shadows right up, literally trying to get every single detail, you are going to get noise in them shadows. We do get some really nice highlights out of Gen 5, which I think is probably a good enough reason to want to switch over to Gen 5 from Gen 4. Now, something I did notice when I was shooting with this camera is it is a bit damn big. Like, I know it ain't that much bigger than the original 6K, but when you're shooting with it all day long, like, you do notice the extra size. I don't know what it is, I just noticed it was bloody massive. Every time I used to pull it out of my bag, it takes up loads of room in my bag, and it is just a bit damn massive, especially with this lens on it. And I love this lens. This is the Sigma 18-35 1.8 art. And I think if you're going to get at the end of the day, if you're going to get a pocket camera in general, I think this is an absolute must-have in your bag. But it is absolutely wham. And honestly, every time I used to take it out of the bag, I'm shooting with it, like, you just notice it's a lot damn bigger. However, the con of that is massively outweighed by all of these pros that Blackmagic have come out with, because it's absolutely ludicrous what they've managed to fit in a camera this big for this price. We're lucky filmmakers, mate. We're lucky in today's day and age to be able to have toys this good for this amount of money. Now, I've shot in two kinds of scenarios. I've shot kind of run and gun, traveling out and about, and I've also shot in the studio environment. And these are shots of me, by the way. That's your boy, you know, looking all profession. That as an actor, I ain't an actor, but you know, I'll jump in every now and then for something I need to do. This was a shoot for Peter Lindgren's Rivals 3 episode. Absolutely sick. If you ain't gone and checked it out, you should, because I'm an evil hacker and, you know, I take down a few people. It's pretty cool. And the person who was shooting was my mate. Now, my mate, his name's Dale, he can hardly operate a bloody phone, let alone a cinema camera. It literally took me about 2 or 3 minutes to show him how to use this thing, and he got it. And that is just a massive homage to how easy the Blackmagics are to use. They're so simple. The menu system is like it basically come off a toy. It's that simple, that easy. And I don't think there's another menu system like it. The Blackmagic menu system is just the best in my opinion. I just love this thing, and I think every single con that I've said is completely outweighed by the pros on this thing. I think the next time they do another one of these cameras, dare I say it, it could be perfect. As a cinema camera, this thing is not, in my opinion, a video camera. There's no autofocus, there's terrible battery life, the ergonomics for shooting video is crap. I still think that they can really do a much better job at the ergonomics of this camera. This thing is a great little cinema camera. I love it. I think Blackmagic have done an incredible job of actually listening to everyone who had the original 6K, implementing some mad good features and more than we even expected. And obviously you can get a viewfinder for this thing for like an extra 500 quid. And that thing looks sick. Just for me, I don't personally think I need it because I do have a really, really nice small rig hood that I can stick on my monitor, and I can pretty much see the image, especially with that 1500 nit, almost as good as if I even had a bloody viewfinder. And I feel like the viewfinder, you'd only use it like at this height. What if I want to shoot up here? Or what if I want to shoot right down here, you know? So I do find that that is a little bit limiting. Another thing I love about this camera, even though it's so damn big, like that's so long, and let's be honest, that's so long, and I can still fit it on all of my favourite gimbals. I can chuck it on my Zion Crane 2. I can also chuck it on the new Weebill 2, believe it or not, with a counterbalance. All of this footage that you've seen was shot on the Weebill 2 with a cheeky little counterbalance with this camera. And if I do want to rig it out, I can just chuck my small rig cage on, and obviously I've got all the small rig accessories. If I really want to bust it out and make it look wham, maybe I'm doing like a commercial shoot or whatever and I want a really comfortable shooting position for the entire day, I will rig it out. But I don't feel like you even need to rig this camera out now with a flip screen, obviously with a slightly better battery life. The ergonomics aren't great, but I don't think you need to rig it out. Anyway, people, let me know what you lot think of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. Is it the camera for you? Is it not the camera for you? I still want to rock my FX6. I'm still going to rock my A7S. I'm just going to use this particular camera for very specific shoots, very high quality image, high end stuff that I don't need IBIS for, that I don't need a variable ND that I've obviously got on the FX6, and obviously we haven't got full size XLRs, we've got the little XLRs, but yeah, this thing is a banging little camera. I absolutely love it. And as always, people, I'll be catching you lot in the next one, mate. Boss.